My name is Trisha Best, and I'm 34 years old. If you ask my parents, they'll tell you they have two daughters. If you ask my mother, she'll tell you she has one angel and one overly sensitive drama queen. Guess which one I am? Growing up, my little sister Kayla could do no wrong. She was the golden child from the moment she arrived. Big brown eyes, curly hair, loud laugh that made adults chuckle and strangers coo. Teachers adored her. Neighbors brought her little presents. At family gatherings, people would pinch her cheeks and say, "She's going places." Me, I was usually the one asked to take the picture, so I wouldn't ruin it by standing in it. I wasn't a problem kid. I was quiet, bookish, the kind of girl who preferred libraries to parties. I wore glasses too big for my face and clothes that were always a size off because Mom didn't see the point in spending money on me when you don't go anywhere anyway. Meanwhile, she'd drag Kayla to the mall to keep her wardrobe fresh. Kayla was loud like our dad. Rough, joking, always the center of attention. I was more like wallpaper. At first, I told myself I didn't care that Mom made Kayla's meals, did her laundry, and even asked me to help with Kayla's homework while no one helped with mine. She's younger, I thought. She needs more help. It's fine. But as we got older, the line between little sister antics and cruelty evaporated. Kayla would sneak into my room to read my journal and then run to Mom, waving it around like evidence. She wrote that she hates it when you call her boring, Kayla would mock, laughing. So boring that she writes it in diaries. I'd snatch it back, humiliated. "Stop going through my stuff," I'd yell. "It's private." Mom would just chuckle and shake her head. "Trisha, relax. She's your sister. That's how sisters bond." Apparently, trying to set my hair on fire was also how sisters bond. I remember that night like a freeze frame. We were in high school. I was sitting at my desk doing homework, and Kayla walked in with a cheap lighter she'd gotten from someone at school. "Just want to see if it works," she said casually, flicking the flame near my ponytail. I smelled the heat before I felt it. I jerked away, slapping at my hair. "Are you insane?" I screamed. She laughed, genuinely amused. "Relax, you flinched too fast. If I wanted to, you'd be bald already." I ran to Mom, shaking, my voice cracking as I explained. Her response? A sigh. "Trisha, she's just playing. You're overreacting again. Why do you always make everything so dramatic?" I think that was the first moment I realized my mother did not see me as someone who could be hurt, only as someone who was too sensitive when she claimed to be hurt. Things escalated. Pebbles in my cereal. I just wanted to see if you'd notice. Hiding my glasses, whispering to kids at school about my insecurities. She knew I was being bullied, called names like ugly and hairy monkey, and instead of defending me, she joined the chorus. "Why are you so weird?" she'd say loudly in the hallway. "No wonder no one likes you." It pierced deeper than anything she'd ever said. I was already struggling quietly with my mental health. Hearing it from my own sister felt like someone pressing a bruise with full force. Dad was usually at work and missed a lot of this. Mom brushed it off like always. But then came the incident that finally cracked his denial. Kayla tried the fire game again. This time, Dad walked in just as she flicked the lighter near my hair for the joke. He didn't yell. He went still. His face tightened in a way I'd never seen. "Put that down," he said, voice low. Kayla rolled her eyes. "Dad, chill. I wasn't actually—" "That's not a joke," he snapped. "You could have seriously hurt her." When Mom tried to smooth it over, "Oh, come on. She was just playing. She didn't mean—" Dad cut her off. "No, enough." He turned to me later that night, came into my room, and closed the door. "Trisha," he said softly, "how long has this been going on?" He listened, really listened. His face went pale. "I should have seen it," he muttered. "I thought she was just being immature. But this is bullying." The next day he went to my school, talked to the principal, and suddenly the kids who tormented me were being spoken to about consequences. That same evening, he enrolled me in mixed martial arts classes at the local gym. "I can't change how other people behave," he told me, "but I can help you learn to stand up for yourself." I felt ridiculous at first. Quiet, nerdy Trisha throwing kicks and punches, tripping over footwork, while muscular adults sparred around me. But I kept going. I carved out time in between homework and part-time jobs. My body changed. My posture changed. And for the first time in my life, I felt solid. The real test came sooner than I expected. We used to get pocket money for doing chores. I was saving mine up, slowly, for a new laptop. One afternoon, I opened my drawer and found the envelope empty. I didn't have to guess. Kayla was already outside, straddling her bike, laughing with her friends. Kayla, I shouted, marching outside. Give me back my money. She smirked. I needed it. I've got a date. Shouldn't you be happy your sister has a social life? You can go cry to Dad if you want. Something inside me snapped. Years of being told to be the bigger person finally met the girl I'd become on those mats. I stepped closer. Last chance. Give it back. She scoffed, turning away, and I punched her. One clean, solid hit. She dropped to the ground, stunned, then burst into tears, wailing like a toddler. Mom came running, of course, scooping her up like a wounded angel. What did you do to your sister? She shrieked at me. You're older. You should be setting an example. Dad asked us both what happened. I told him the truth. She stole my hard-earned money. Kayla shrugged and said she needed it for a date, and that as her sister, I should help. Dad's jaw clenched. You're lucky all she did was punch you, he said to Kayla. Anyone else would have called the police. You don't take what isn't yours. Kayla screamed that she hated me and ran to her room, slamming the door. But after that, something changed. She stopped putting her hands on me. The verbal jabs were still there, but the days of her physically tormenting me were over. For the first time, I felt like we were on equal footing. Not loved equally, never that, but at least I wasn't her punching bag anymore. Still, the house felt suffocating. I begged Mom to help us sit down and talk like a family. She always refused. I'm not getting in the middle, she'd say, even though she'd been in the middle the entire time, just always on Kayla's side. So I did the only thing I could. I left. I worked hard, studied harder, and got into my dream university on a scholarship. Dad threw me a little party. Mom smiled, said she was proud, but her eyes were always drifting to her phone, checking on Kayla. Kayla barely looked up from her screen. University felt like stepping into sunlight after years in a windowless room. No one knew me as the boring sister. No one compared me to Kayla. I was just Trisha, the quiet girl who was good at her major and could surprisingly throw a decent punch. That's where I met Aaron. He wasn't my usual type. Loud, charming, always covered in some kind of engine grease from his part-time mechanic job, but he looked at me like I wasn't invisible. We met at a party my roommate dragged me to. While everyone else shouted over the music, we ended up on a balcony talking about everything. Families, dreams, the weird ways we'd both grown up trying to earn love. Coming from a religious background, I'd always thought my life would follow a simple path. Finish school, get married, have kids in that order. Life had other plans. In our final year, I found out I was pregnant. My first reaction was panic. My second was guilt. My parents were old-fashioned, and having a baby before marriage was a big no. Aaron didn't hesitate. Then we get married, he said, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Our wedding was small but sweet. Both families came. My parents were happy. Even Kayla showed up in a dress that matched the bridesmaids a little too perfectly, laughing too loudly, clinking glasses with Aaron like they were old friends. At the time, I told myself it was progress. I wish I could say the story ends there, with happily ever after. It didn't. Because even after promising vows in front of everyone, Aaron cheated on me twice. Once with a married coworker, once with his high school ex-girlfriend when he went back to visit family out of state. I know how it sounds. I know what you're thinking. Why didn't you leave then? Back then, I told myself all the things people say when they're desperately trying to keep a family together. We were young. He made mistakes. I don't want my child growing up in a broken home. For years after that second affair, it looked like he'd changed. He was present, attentive, the kind of father who showed up to school events and actually knew which stuffed animal Henry slept with. I convinced myself I'd made the right choice. I forgave. I moved on. I pretended the cracks weren't there. Until 3 months ago, when Aaron sat me down at our kitchen table, wouldn't meet my eyes, and said the words that would finally shatter everything for good. Trisha, there's something I need to tell you, and you're going to hate me. I had no idea that this time, the other woman wasn't a random coworker. It was someone who had been in my life since the day she was born. Someone my mother still calls her perfect little girl. My sister, Kayla. For a few seconds, the world around me went silent. I heard the clock ticking. I heard my own heartbeat hammering in my chest. But Aaron's voice, his confession, echoed louder than everything else. I didn't mean for it to happen, he whispered, eyes glued to the table. It just happened. I stared at him, choking on disbelief. With who, Aaron? I asked, though a part of me already knew. There was a tremor in my voice I couldn't hide. He swallowed hard. With Kayla. The name hit me like a physical blow. Kayla. My sister. The same sister who'd spent her entire childhood tearing me down. The same girl Mom worshipped. The one who always got forgiven, protected, excused for everything. I opened my mouth, closed it. My brain refused to process the sentence. What do you mean with Kayla? I finally forced out. When? How long? Aaron leaned back in his chair, rubbing his face with both hands. Trish, please. Don't make me say every detail. It's bad. I know it's bad. I didn't plan it. I felt my palms go cold. How long? He broke. Since college. College. As in before our wedding. As in when I first brought him home. As in the same Thanksgiving where Kayla suddenly became so friendly with him. My stomach knotted. I remembered the way Kayla used to linger near him, laughing loudly, acting strangely interested in his stories. I remembered brushing it off because she was finally trying. I felt sick. You slept with my sister while I was in the house? I whispered. Aaron flinched. It wasn't like that. It only happened once back then. Then we stopped. We didn't talk about it. We pretended it never happened, and I chose you. I wanted you. But his eyes didn't match his words. And then? I asked. He hesitated too long. Then, it started again. A hollow ache formed inside my chest. How long has it been happening again? He looked down at his hands. A few years. Years. Not months, not a slip-up. Years. And Henry? My voice cracked. Is he even yours? He looked horrified. Trisha, yes, of course he's mine. We can test if you want, but he is. I swear. I shut my eyes. I wasn't worried about the DNA. I was worried about something worse. That my son had been raised in a home built on a lie. That while I was planning meals and saving for family vacations and organizing birthday parties, Aaron had been in hotel rooms with my sister. I felt my throat tighten, but no tears came. Just a cold, clear wave of finality. Get out, I said calmly. Aaron's head jerked up. What? Leave, now. Pack a bag. Go stay with your mother, a friend. I don't care. His eyes widened like he expected screaming, expected throwing plates, expected a dramatic meltdown he could guilt or manipulate his way through. But the quiet scared him more. Trisha, I'm not leaving. We can fix this. You forgave me before. We can... No, I said. You cheated on me with my sister. You don't come back from that. He started crying then. Loud, panicked sobs. I didn't want to tell you. I never wanted to hurt you. Please, think about Henry. He needs both of us. Don't break our family. You broke it, not me. He grabbed my arm suddenly, desperate. Please, Trish, yell at me. Throw something at me. Do something. I can take it. I deserve it. But don't just walk away. I pulled my arm back. You don't get to tell me how to grieve. I walked to the bedroom, grabbed a suitcase, and started packing. A sweater, 2 shirts, jeans, toothbrush. The numbness was almost protective. Behind me, Aaron hovered in the doorway. You're not even going to fight for us? He whispered. I zipped the suitcase shut. I've been fighting for us for years, I said softly. You're the one who stopped. He sank to the floor sobbing. I stepped past him. Henry was asleep. I kissed his forehead, letting myself take one last look. Then I walked out of the house I had once believed would hold my forever. I went straight to my parents' place. Dad opened the door in his robe, startled. Trisha, what? Can I come in? I said. I need to talk to you, both of you. Mom appeared in the hallway, her face tightening immediately. What happened? Did you and Aaron fight again? Trisha, you know men make mistakes. Mom, I said, my voice breaking. This isn't a mistake. Dad led me into the living room. I sat on the couch. I told them everything. At first, Mom looked confused, then offended. Then her eyes widened. Kayla? She breathed. Kayla would never do something like that. She loves you. She adores Henry. Stop, I said sharply. She doesn't love me. She never has. And she definitely doesn't adore Henry. She adores stealing anything I've ever had. Mom's face darkened. That is an awful thing to accuse your sister of. Then listen, I said, pulling out my phone, and don't say a word. I dialed Aaron. He picked up almost instantly. Trisha, please tell me you're coming home, please. Aaron, I said flatly, tell me again who you've been sleeping with. He hesitated. Aaron. There was a long, awful beat. Kayla, he murmured. Mom gasped. Dad's jaw clenched. I kept my voice steady. How long? Aaron's voice cracked. Please don't make me do this. Please. Tell me. He exhaled shakily. College, and for the past few years. Mom grabbed the edge of the couch as if her legs wouldn't hold her. Dad looked like someone had just told him the roof was collapsing. And Henry? I asked, needing my parents to hear it. He's mine, Aaron said quickly. We tested before. He's mine. Dad stood up abruptly. Give me the phone. I handed it to him without a word. His voice was low, controlled, colder than I had ever heard it. "Aaron," he said, "you have betrayed my daughter in the most disgusting way possible." Aaron started crying again. "Sir, please. You slept with her sister. You destroyed your family. And Kayla has disgraced this entire household." He paused, letting every word sink in. "Starting today," Dad said, voice like steel, "I am cutting Kayla off. No more college funding. No more financial support. No more excuses." Mom jerked her head toward him. "What? You can't—" Dad held up a hand. "If you defend her right now, I swear to God." Mom fell silent. He handed the phone back to me. "I'm sorry, sweetheart," he said softly. "I should have protected you better." For the first time in my life, I cried in my father's arms. The next morning, he helped me find a divorce lawyer. Mom didn't speak to me for an entire day, not because she was angry at me, but because she didn't know how to face what her perfect little girl had done. And as I walked out of their house, exhausted, hollowed out, carrying only my suitcase and my breaking heart, one thing rang loud and clear. This wasn't even the end. It was only the beginning of everything that would come next. The morning after I filed for divorce, reality hit like a slow, suffocating wave. I checked into a small, quiet apartment hotel across town, the kind where no one asks questions and no one knows your name. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the door, half expecting Aaron to burst in with flowers or promises or more excuses. But he didn't. Not that day, not the next. Instead, his lawyer contacted mine. And so began the ugliest months of my life. The divorce. Aaron tried to play it calm at first. "We can be civilized. We don't need to ruin each other." But then his lawyer mentioned alimony, arguing that I earned more and, despite mistakes on both sides, Aaron deserved support to rebuild his life. Mistakes on both sides? My lawyer nearly laughed. We laid everything out. Messages, dates, hotel charges, the timeline of his long-term cheating with both his coworker and my sister. The judge didn't even blink. Aaron wasn't getting a cent. And for custody, that was the hardest part. My lawyer asked gently, "Do you want full custody of Henry?" I froze. My son, my little boy, I loved him more than anything. But loving him and being able to healthily coexist with the web of betrayal tied to him were two different things. If I fought for full custody, Aaron would fight back. Kayla would show up. Mom would meddle. I would be dragged into the same toxic loop, day after day, year after year. Every drop-off, every holiday, every school concert, they would always be there. Aaron, who betrayed me, Kayla, who destroyed me, and Mom, who enabled her. I could never escape. I cried for 3 hours in my lawyer's office, but when I finally spoke, my voice was clear. I want what's best for Henry, but I can't co-parent with the people who broke me. I can't keep reliving that betrayal through him. Not now, not yet. We settled on limited visitation. My choice. I needed space. I needed to breathe. I needed to heal before I could be a mother again without drowning in reminders of everything I lost. People later called me heartless, cruel, selfish. But they didn't live my life. They didn't feel the knife wound reopening every time someone said Aaron's name or Kayla's. Sometimes survival looks like abandonment. Sometimes love means staying away. The will. A shift in power. A few weeks after the divorce was finalized, Dad called. "Trisha," he said, "I need you to come over. I want to discuss something important." When I arrived, he was sitting at the dining table with papers spread out neatly in front of him. "This is my revised will." I blinked. "Dad, why are you showing me this?" "Because," he said, "I'm leaving everything to you." I felt my stomach flip. How much are we talking about?" I asked hesitantly. "Everything," he repeated. "The house, my retirement funds, the life insurance. About $2 million altogether." "Dad, Kayla." He held up a hand. "Kayla will get $1. I stared. $1. Not zero because zero could be contested, but one meant he did remember her. He just chose to leave everything to me instead. "What about Mom?" I asked quietly. "She can live in the house as long as she wants if I go first. The house will be under your name, but she stays until she decides otherwise." I swallowed hard. This was monumental. Dad looked years older, tired, grieved, broken by the truth he couldn't unhear. "I failed you growing up," he whispered. "I let your mother spoil Kayla rotten. I let you handle everything alone. This won't fix the past, but maybe it can protect your future." And then, something I never expected. He started crying. I held his hands across the table. "Dad, thank you." He nodded, wiping his eyes. "But Trisha," he said gravely, "your mother already broke the rules." My spine stiffened. "What rules?" She spoke to Kayla. She told her about the will. My mouth dropped. What? Dad, how? She thought Kayla had suffered enough, he said bitterly. She said Kayla was sorry. I told her if she contacts Kayla again, she can pack a bag and go live with her golden child permanently. I won't stay married to someone who excuses betrayal. I was stunned. Dad had always been calm, gentle. Now he was steel. Has she contacted her again? I asked. Not since, he said. But she still cries at night. She misses the daughter who stabbed us all. The call. It didn't take long for Kayla and Aaron to hit rock bottom. Kayla lost all financial support, dropped out of college, moved into a rundown apartment with Aaron. Aaron picked up part-time mechanic work. They fought constantly over money, bills, and, ironically, Henry. And then one afternoon my phone buzzed. Aaron. I almost declined the call, but something, morbid curiosity maybe, made me answer. His voice was desperate, shaky. Trisha, can we talk? No, I said, we can't. Please, he begged. Just hear me out. She's not doing great. We're both struggling. Henry needs things we can't afford. This is too much. Could you maybe talk to your dad, tell him to reconsider, or help us with the lawyers, or... I laughed, a low, humorless sound. You want me to help you, after everything you did to me? It wasn't all my fault, he protested. Kayla, she came on to me too. And you weren't as affectionate back then. Aaron, I cut in sharply, you slept with my sister, repeatedly, for years, while lying in my bed, while I raised our son, while I trusted you. He went quiet. Then, in a voice so small it barely sounded like him, Please, I'm begging you. No, I said coldly. You made your bed. Now lie in it, with Kayla beside you. He inhaled sharply, almost a sob. Is this really it? You're just done with us? Yes. Even Henry? He whispered painfully. That one hurt, more than I'll ever admit. But my answer didn't change. Yes. And I hung up. 5 months later. I didn't expect peace, but it came anyway. Small, slow, unfamiliar, but real. Dad and I go golfing on weekends, not because I'm good at it, but because he likes having me there. Mom avoids Kayla's name like it's radioactive. She's quieter now, humbled by consequences she never thought her favorite child would face. Kayla and Aaron, they're still together, raising Henry, barely scraping by. My cousin said Kayla looks exhausted, older somehow. Choices age you differently when you're forced to live with them. As for me, I got promoted 2 months ago, started therapy, bought plants, learned to cook for one, stopped waking up with my heart racing. I haven't dated. I'm not ready. Maybe I won't be for a long time. But for the first time in years, when I look in the mirror, I see someone I recognize. Not the shadow of Kayla, not the wife Aaron betrayed, not the daughter Mom dismissed. Just Trisha Best, a woman rebuilding her life one breath, one morning, one boundary at a time.